PreCure Theater. Mushroom, we have to go right now.
Oh, where are we going?
I heard about a place where everyone was kung fu fighting.
Everyone? Surely not everyone could be kung fu fighting.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do some karate chops. I'm gonna do some kicks. I'm gonna do some flips. It's gonna be amazing.
Well,
seize the day.
Oh gosh, okay, let's go. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba. Ow! We're going on an adventure. It's gonna be so much fun. We're taking to the sky, just you and I.
Our smiles as bright as the sun.
Hey, heroes, rise up.
Rise up.
We can do it if we try. I believe in you and your feelings true. Hey, let your spirits fly. It's time for a cure of the what now?
Hiya!
It's so bright colors. Wow! We'll answer the call and be standing tall. Fun is our eternal vow. So gear up, get ready. I hope you're feeling fine, 'cause now it's hero time. Cure of the what now?
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's two dorky podcasters.
Hello, fellow transfer students, and welcome to
Episode 7, Season 3 of Cure of the What Now? Hiya!
the one show where we know it's okay to be your true self at school, as long as you don't reveal that you're secretly from another world. Just don't do that.
Be yourself up to a certain point.
Be your most authentic self, but only the version that's generally acceptable in this society.
Okay, yeah, sure.
My name is Kat, and I didn't prepare anything for this part. Let's see. I'm gonna bake a cake all by myself, and if you come into my kitchen, I'll cut off your hands!
Oh no! See, I think I am more like Hime in this situation, and you're more like Megumi in this situation. But I love it. You're baking a cake. You're gonna chop off my hands. That's a good indicator that you don't want any help. I'll just be over here. Secretly, I've just been a little flower petal this entire time.
Oh wow!
Yeah, but if I take too much damage, I will just explode.
Jeez, gosh, oh no, man! I don't want you to take any damage, so I'm not gonna derail us too much. Joel, news and announcements.
Absolutely. Everyone, this is a very special episode. This is our 100th mainline Cure of the What Now episode. I'll have to go back and actually check. I only glanced at the episode list, master list that I have. I don't know if the Sweet episode, the retrospective we did on it, counted towards that number. I don't think it did. I think it counted anyways. So this is our 100th episode. We don't have time this morning, and we didn't plan ahead in order to do something special, but I kind of have something I've been working on in the back of my head, and if I'm able to get it done in the next week or two, we'll upload that.
And we have the confetti logo.
That's true. That's absolutely true. One other thing, too, I don't know if this technically counts as news and announcements. I could have saved this for Calls to Adventure, but last week we had a discussion, or we had a comment about someone saying that they heard a rumor from their uncle who works at Toei that Toei has told the PreCure directors and animators and stuff, okay, make it gay, but not, explicitly, keep it subtext, and in the manga, go buck wild. And I thought that sounded a little suspicious. I'm making up the part about my uncle who works at Toei, but I thought that sounded more like a fan cast kind of an idea. And so we reached out to Ayu, who seems pretty dang knowledgeable, almost an encyclopedic knowledge of magical girls and PreCure. And she said that that's not her understanding, that basically, PreCure will always have kind of the gay subtext if you want to see it there, but it's not necessarily explicitly put there. Japan has a much more, conservative idea of how society should be run. I guess there was a scandal about the Bachelorette in Japan, or Bachelor in Japan, where someone kissed someone else on the cheek, and that was scandalous.
On television?
So, it doesn't seem like they are purposely putting subtext into the show, but it will be read there, and, occasionally there are certain characters who you can say, that seems like they have more subtext than others. Kira and Yukari, for example.
Absolutely, and Toei is probably never going to go harder than they currently go, because again, kissing and hand-holding and relationships in general are seen as more adult, and this is a kids show. So, yes. The adult fandom in Japan really isn't even asking for that.
Yes, absolutely.
Really quick, one other piece of news that's super exciting for you especially. There's going to be 2 seasons, like mini seasons, I guess, aimed at older audiences about different seasons of PreCure as adults. Joel, which seasons are they?
We are getting a sequel to Yes, PreCure 5, which we're now 3 seasons away from being able to watch that, because we have to first watch Yes, PreCure 5, and then we have to watch Go-Go, and then we can watch, what is it called? Otana PreCure, which will be starting in October. And the news announcements, the tweet that AU linked to us in the Discord, it did not say how many episodes were in this series. But the other series, with no official title yet, title pending, is Witchy PreCure 2!
I'm so happy for you!
This one is going to be a 12-episode series. It's going to be starting in 2024, and it sounded like, now I use the Google auto-translate, so it's possible that some of the information was, mistranslated, but it sounds like they're going to go for about a year, and so maybe like 1 episode a month instead of 1 episode every week like they're doing with the mainline PreCure series. Both of these series are going to be aimed at adults, and so some people are wondering, could it be slightly more explicit? Will there be a kiss on the mouth, for example? I mean, it's not going to be, sexualized, and there's not going to be, like, monsters who shoot blood out of their eyes or anything like that, but it is for fans who were children when the original seasons were airing and are now old enough to handle slightly more complex.
No, we're going full Madoka Magica. Ha-chan is just going to get her head chomped off. I don't want that, actually. Please don't think that I'm asking for that.
No, and AU also pointed out, I believe on Twitter, I don't think in our PreCure specifically, but it's still the PreCure brand, and like, even though one of them is going to be airing at like 2 a.m. Japan time or something like that, that doesn't mean that children aren't going to find like the reruns on the YouTube channel, so it's still going to be a PreCure experience, just maybe slightly darker, slightly more mature.
Yeah, but I'm really excited to see where these series go. I'm halfway tempted to just binge Yes PreCure both seasons in my spare time and on the podcast be like, hey, this is what I think of the season, like at the end, and then I can review Otama or whatever it is while it's airing. Okay. But we'll see if I find time for that. I'm a very busy woman, lots of things to do.
We have so many games to play. We haven't even figured out what Bear's Restaurant represents yet.
Exactly.
I mean, we have, but we haven't.
All right, moving on to our what we watched, what we're gonna watch.
Do we do discussion question first, or do we want to skip that?
Okay, so we usually do... Okay, our scratch pad is not well laid out. I was going to say, let's do our discussion question, but because the what we watched, what we're gonna watch is first, I was worried you were gonna be like, excuse me, it's in order on the scratch pad, ma'am. All right, instead of doing that, do you have a discussion question for me this week?
I do. Once again, I made sure to put this on Discord and on Reddit. I didn't tweet it, though. Maybe we would have gotten one more, fan-submitted answer. But I want to know, what classes from D&D or Final Fantasy or any kind of role-playing game, what kind of roles would you assign the different girls? Originally, I asked for Mashiro, Sora, and Ageha, and I put in parentheses, I'll pretend that we know Ageha is the next Cure Wink, because technically we don't, but I think that she's one of the only named characters. She knows that they're PreCure. It seems obvious that she'll be a PreCure down the line. I excluded Tsubasa, even though his name seems to be a clear indicator that he's going to be Cure Wing, because we don't know anything about him. He's a bird who drinks tea. Like, how can you possibly create a role-playing, character off of that? But then I also realized, why limit ourselves? Why just only ask about Soaring Sky? I was like, if you have thoughts on Sai and Maki, or Hime and Megumi, throw them in there. We got quite a bit of information from AU.
I can tell AU either has played D&D or wants to, because she was like, yes, I'm on this question.
She gave us alignments for the different characters, and lawful means you do everything according to the rules, and chaotic means that you don't. You just do whatever you think is personally satisfying to you.
Yeah, so lawful doesn't necessarily mean the laws of the country. It means you have a specific code and you don't deviate from whatever that code is. And chaotic, there is no code. So Batman, lawful, Joker, chaotic.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Except for that one comic where he crossed over with Red Skull and he's like, I will not work with this group of people. I don't think we're allowed to say that on YouTube because he's an American, goddammit.
Absolutely. And then good versus evil. Good is tries not to hurt people. Evil is doesn't care about hurting people.
Absolutely. So I'm going to just rapid fire these. I want AU's thoughts to be out there, but we don't have time to discuss every single one. So Mashiro would be a cleric. She'd be neutral good. Sora would be a monk, lawful good. Agaha would be barbarian, chaotic good. I also asked, like, which of these characters would get the most into character if they were doing a tabletop setting, like where they're playing a game together. And AU was saying, if these three are playing, it will either be a DM-less campaign, which I didn't know you could do. That's pretty cool. Or Yo-Yo would be the DM, and Sora would take it the most seriously, getting into character and such.
Sora absolutely would take it the most seriously. Love Barbarian for Agaha. That's basically what she is in real life.
Exactly. Yeah, right? We have such a good grasp on these characters. Megumi was a paladin, neutral good. Hime was a warlock, chaotic good. Pure Fortune would be a sorcerer, lawful good, and Yuka would be a bard, and Seiji would DM. Hime would be the absolute worst player, and Megumi would have to basically get her back on track. Be like, Hime, we're working together to achieve a task or whatever.
Is Blue the DM in this situation? Because the god is DM of the game. Or okay. DM is god of the game.
I think that would make sense. I also like the idea of Ribbon being the DM, and she and Hime get into the most arguments, and suddenly Hime just keeps getting hit by lightning bolts and just taking damage for some reason. She
prepared this really immersive campaign with a lot of backstory, and Hime just wants to, full speed ahead.
Absolutely. And then Saki was a fighter, chaotic good, and Maki was a druid or ranger, neutral good. Now, I've told myself in the past that, I have a vague understanding of D&D, but I've never actually, really played it in depth. I started a campaign once. I got, 2 sessions in, and then the group fell apart. The classic D&D story. So I always forget that druid is not a race. I always think that they're forest nymphs, but there's a race of forest nymphs, and then there's also the class of druid. And they happen to sometimes line up where the forest people are also druids, but that's just something that confuses me every time.
Fun fact, because yesterday was St. Patrick's Day and I'm Irish, the religion in that region before Catholicism came in and kind of pushed all the pagans out of the country.
Region. Yeah.
Druids were a big part of that, and because of Catholicism's influence, we lost a lot of information. So there are people who still try to follow that religion as a cultural thing, but it's very hard to do because they didn't keep written records, and so we don't know how to follow those traditions.
Read Mistborn, the Final Empire. Read Mistborn, the Final Empire. Read Mistborn, the Final Empire.
Anyway, we can move on
No,
now.
that's really cool. Well, okay, so I wanted to kind of blitz through that and then kind of circle back to my thoughts. I love that of the 3 girls that we currently have for Soaring Sky, AU found a way to make one of them neutral, one of them lawful, and one of them chaotic. So Mashiro is neutral, which I kind of get because sometimes she follows the rules, but sometimes she seems to be a little bit more she's willing to lie.
She runs from the cops.
Yeah, exactly. And then, of course, Sora as the hero girl has to be lawful. And then, of course, Agaha, she does seem like she would be I kind of think of chaotic as sort of self-serving, you follow your own internal compass and it can point whichever way is most convenient for you, and I think that fits her. I think that fits her a lot.
Absolutely. Well, and Sora literally has a book of rules she carries around.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
I think AU is spot on with all of these. She has such a good grasp of the characters.
I would say I also, in my mind, a paladin is someone who has a specific god or goddess that they follow, or maybe gods, or maybe god neutral, but they follow a higher power and they always stick to it. So I would be willing to also cast Sora in that role, but I also understand that Monk is a lot of physical fighting, so she's kind of both.
2 things.
Yeah.
We don't know anything about how Megumi's relationship with Blue develops, yikes. And paladins specifically get their powers from a pact with a god. And the further they progress in their pact, the more powers they get. And so Megumi's powers specifically came from Blue.
Okay, yeah, I could see that. I'm just saying, as far as having a certain principle and following it, I feel like Sora is more of that to me. But you're right, we have another 42 episodes of Happiness Charge, so we'll see.
I had a cursed thought, not going to share it. Let's move on.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I misspoke. I said Happiness Charge. Of course, what I meant was Heart Catch. And we know that Saki and Mai from Yes PreCure 6, they're also pretty good. You know?
I meant to throw this into news and announcements. Apparently, I misspoke at the beginning of last episode.
Did you?
Apparently, we got a lot of messages about it. So I just want to throw this out there. We are extremely stupid. Mm-hmm. We are going to make mistakes. Nothing we can do to fix them. Thank you for telling us.
That is actually, I do want to bring that up. We don't go back and edit past episodes. So, if we are continually making a mistake, if every single time we talk about Happiness Charge, we call her Magumi instead of Megumi or whatever, you can point that out to us because we're stupid. We should fix that going forward. But if we say this week we watched, Happiness Charge, Soaring Sky, and Splish Star, we can't go back and change that. There's nothing we can do. Thank you for pointing out our mistakes.
Absolutely. Now, I want to share one of James's thoughts. Yeah. Because I was upset by it on a fundamental level.
You were ready to fight. You were ready to fisticuffs at dawn.
I was, yeah. James said Mashiro is an NPC. Mean to Mashiro.
He did eventually clarify that, Mashiro would be an NPC at first and then get turned into a
soldier.
Yeah, I was thinking a party member in an RPG setting, like a Paper Mario or something. And also her run is kind of weird, kind of NPC-ish from a couple of episodes ago. I think that was the episode with the train. Now, Talemon, I'm sorry, I wrote your name down as Tsubasa. We have a person in our Discord whose name starts with the letter T, and we have a bird whose name starts with the letter T. I just got confused when I was copy-pasting.
Telemon confirmed for bird.
Absolutely. So Talemon was getting most of his thoughts from Miitopia. I haven't played it, but I think that these are some pretty basic classes. I think you could see them in a lot of other games. But Sora would be the warrior, which is the standard hero job. Mashiro is a pop star, and it's mostly because Kira Prism's outfit looks almost exactly like one of these pop stars. And Agaha would be tank. Talemon said it in all caps, and I'm not sure if that's enthusiasm or if tank is the one Miitopia class that's in all caps.
I like the idea that it's both.
Okay, yeah.
He's really excited for Agaha to just go to town with her metal bat, but also the class is all caps.
Absolutely.
I feel like our listeners here kind of covered all the bases, so I'm going to take this question in a slightly different direction really quick. Of the cures in the seasons we're watching, who is most likely to go full murder hobo? And do you know what that term means?
Okay, I can vaguely guess, but can you explain just in case?
Yeah, so a murder hobo is that player in a campaign who no matter what just wants to destroy and murder everyone. You walk into a village and their first move is, I set the village on fire. Sometimes people enjoy playing murder hobo campaigns, and if you are doing it on purpose, it can be a good time. But if you have somebody in a whole group and they're playing that way and everybody else wants storytelling, it's really unpleasant for the group.
I was about to say, I've listened to some YouTube videos about different types of players, and I've read some of the D&D equivalent of Am I the Asshole type of things, and it sounds like those sorts of players could really grind gears if they do it a certain way. Honestly, I know we joke about them a lot, but Hime and Agaha are the two most likely, I think, to do that. Especially in a game-like setting, I could see Hime being I'm just having fun. I could see her, kind of immersing herself in the idea that, her actions don't matter, so she can do whatever she wants.
Yeah, other people would get mad at her, and then she'd get indignant. I'm playing the game. You guys are just being unreasonable. Agaha, I think, cares a little bit more about other people's feelings.
Absolutely.
Also, it's really funny to me to imagine Mai going full murder hero or murder hobo, just because that's not at all who she is in real life.
Oh man, or no, so she imagine if it's not just, they're not confined to their own series, it's a bunch of different PreCure characters are playing together, and a bunch of characters are kind of annoying Mai to some level or another, so eventually she just snaps and she starts passive aggressively trying to undermine everything. I walk into the tavern and I punch the nearest orc, and freaking Erica is like, why are you doing that? We needed information. I don't know, Erica. Why did you decide to throw the enchanted potion of fireballing or whatever at the dragon last session?
That's excellent. I think I'm ready to move on if you don't have any other thoughts.
Oh, I didn't get to talk about my own thoughts. Hang on. I really want to talk more about this. We are short on time today. I guarantee you we will do a part 2, a follow-up to this, because we still have, we haven't met Cure Honey. We don't know much about, I mean, we think it's Yu, but there might be more about her that we learn on her journey to becoming a PreCure. We don't know, like, anything about Fortune, really, at this point. We assume that there's going to be a mid-cure for Soaring Sky, so we're absolutely going to come back. If you have any thoughts or feelings about this, you hold on to them for a little while. Also, I'm a huge Pokemon fan. I believe Talemon is as well. Catherine, you've played every game. So I think we'll probably do a, what's everyone's Pokemon team type question after we've gotten all 4 Soaring Sky girls. It's no fun to do a question that only covers like half the team.
Absolutely. We did a really cool bonus episode for King of the What Now, where we just talked about take One Piece characters but make it Pokemon, and I feel like we could do a whole episode.
I'm sorry, what show was that?
One Piece?
No. What podcast did we do a bonus episode for?
King of the What Now?
King of the What Now? King of the What Now?
Absolutely.
Now we can move on to what we watched. So we watched Happiness Charge 7, Soaring Sky 7, and Splash Star 7. That's a lot of 7s. Next week, we will be doing episode 8 of all 3 series, but also AU told us about a Splash Star 3D short type of thing. I hadn't heard of it, and it doesn't show up in most lists if you look up, like, what order should I watch the PreCure seasons and movies in? It's not on that list because it's a short, but it's only 12 minutes. It's on the wiki as far as I can tell. And when I say as far as I can tell, I mean I watched like 30 seconds of it last night just to make sure it was the full thing. We'll be covering that briefly.
Excellent. I love that you labeled it in the scratch pad as this other Splash Star thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Do you have some succinct summaries for me?
Yes, let's see if I can do this as succinctly as the little goblins in my head demand.
I'm ready. I'm clenching my cheeks in anticipation.
In Happiness Charge, it's a chapter from One Piece, actually. No, it's Hime is doing a tea party, wants Megumi to show up dressed all fancy. Megumi shows up early and discovers that Hime is trying to make a cake on her own, kind of like takes over and tries to help, and Hime gets really upset. It's like, get out of my kitchen, you're an asshole. And then by the end of the episode, they have to kiss and make up, and they basically realize that Hime was trying too hard to be independent, and Megumi was trying a little bit too hard to helicopter parent, more or less. But then they learn to appreciate those differences that make them stronger as a team. In Splash Star, what episode was this? Karehan is told that this is his last chance for like the 4th episode in a row, but this time they really mean it. This is his actual last chance.
For realsies.
No backsies. So he gets kind of a stick up his butt. His eyes start glowing. He's like, I will use my ultimate technique. And he goes, and his ultimate technique is turning himself into an uzaina. Meanwhile, the fairies have an ear infection, sort of, where their ears are full of magical beads, and if they don't find a place to put those magical beads, they will die. They will explode. And so there's an item that they're looking for, and it turns out that the item will only appear after they make Karehan explode, which he does, and then they find the item, and they restore the Fountain of Trees, I think it was called. Interesting. They defeated the plant guy and they got the Fountain of Trees. I wonder if there's gonna be a pattern. And that's where the episode ends. In Soaring Sky, it's Sora's first time at school. She's really excited. She's told not to tell anyone about Skyland. She almost blabs a couple of times. She goes, you know what? Instead of trying to be myself, I'm gonna just put myself on the medium setting. I'm just gonna be cool and neutral about everything.
Except she can't.
Except she can't. She's literally incapable, just like an Australian shepherd. And eventually, Mashiro's like, dude, just be yourself. People love you. And Sora's like, all right, I'll be myself. Kabuton shows up. They beat Kabuton up, and the day is saved.
Yay!
And those have been your succinct summaries.
Beautiful, incredible, amazing succinct summaries, as always. Let's talk about Splash Star. Did you like this episode?
Yes. So, let's talk about Goyon for a second.
I hate him.
Goya. Yeah, I hate him too. He's got a weird shaped head and he's really antagonistic, and not to the girls. He's antagonistic to his allies. So, like, what's your read on him? What does he get out of just slapping Karehan around?
I think he is trying to weaken the big boss so he can be the big boss.
Okay.
But I think he's trying to do it subtly, like, oh, they're not doing a very good job, and then he gets them killed, which we'll talk about. But yeah, I think that's his end game, is he wants the big boss to be so weak and without power that he can take over and be the big boss.
Absolutely. Alternatively, I really doubt that this is the case, but what if the PreCure gets stronger the more enemies they defeat, or like the longer they're fighting the forces of evil, the stronger their friendship grows, the more pure they become. And maybe Goyon wants to eat them when they're at their strongest. Maybe that would give him more strength.
Could be.
But you and I are on the same page that Goyon is doing this as some kind of power play. Like he's going to get stronger because of all of his machinations.
Sioku.
The other possibility that I can think of that PreCure could do is that maybe Goyon used to be picked on by like the other spirits. I don't know if there's a name for like the generals this season, but maybe he used to be the weakest and they picked on him, and this is his like reverse psychology way to get revenge. Like, oh no, Karehan, don't fight those guys who could definitely blow you up. Don't do it, Karehan. Oh, he's dead. Oh, who could have predicted this? Oh, no. And he just crosses Karehan's name off the list. And then he goes to whoever's going to be next episode and be like, hey, it'd sure be a shame if you couldn't defeat the PreCure.
I know you're going to have to bleep this out, but Karehan died. He exploded. They killed him. I was not prepared for that.
No, absolutely. And I mean, we technically got in Futari Wa, all of the generals got kind of purified in that way as well, except for Kiria, who kind of walked into the darkness and was never seen again until he made his hero return.
He faced God and worked backward into hell.
Worked backwards.
Shut up, man. I covered at the beginning of the episode that I'm stupid. What do you want from me?
When I notice that you make a small mistake like that, I just politely tease you. You politely tease me all the time as
absolutely, well. Absolutely.
Precious Princess comes to mind. So, yeah, Karehan is actually dead, and what they did that was different is, so he became the Uzaina, and then they used their Miracle Twin stream or whatever the attack is called. I'm sorry, I don't pay attention to the things that happen every episode. Like, that literally, if something happens every episode, it kind of goes out of my mind. But they blow up the Uzaina, and I'm like, oh, did they purify him as well because he was inside it? But it shows him escaping.
And he's like reaching for them.
Well, it shows him escape. There's the big flash of light. The girls de-transform. They're like, oh, the day is saved. And then Karehan just comes out of the bush like the Scream ghost face at the end of the movie when you think that they're dead. And he's back. And he's like lunging towards them and he's going to kill them. But right as he's about to like physically touch them and like, I don't know, slap their faces off or whatever, he just explodes, and it turns out he was just a leaf the whole time.
Yeah, one of the fairies picks up a leaf and they go, this was Karehan. What? What? Okay, I guess.
I guess you could say that now that he's had his 7 episodes, he has taken his leaf of the show. Did you like Karehan Uzaina, Karazna, being able to suck away their spiritual energy?
Yeah, I liked it. I hope that comes into play more in future episodes. I assume every general now is going to turn into an Uzaina right before they get defeated.
Oh, yeah. And it seems like it took 7 jewels, whatever those things are called. Didn't write it down. I'm an idiot. But they got 7 miracle beads, and once they had 7, that restored 1 fountain. So I assume every general is going to literally have 7 fights and then they're done.
That makes things convenient for us as the viewers.
Absolutely. Hit me up with a prediction. Although technically I think we've already seen future generals from future All-Stars movies. But like, what other elements do you think that there are?
Okay, so we've got the Fountain of the Sun and the Fountain of Rainbows. Right?
I think the Land of Rainbows. There might be a Fountain of Rainbows, but I think it's the Land of Rainbows.
Anyway, I'm just, we've got all these different fountains. We've seen a fountain of trees, a fountain of rocks. Okay. Possibly.
Yeah.
I could see the Fountain of Fountains being a water one.
You need a water one in there because, like, plants can cover like all of the earth, but there's still a lot of wetness that is not covered by trees.
Well, and like trees are a very specific type of plant. So could there be like a fountain of dandelions? I don't know. And what type of water is the fountain of wetness going to be? Will it be the fountain of rivers or
the fountain of streams? Probably, because that's what their final attack is the splash stream.
Stream.
Also, I think that I know this is true for all 20 seasons of PreCure, but stop fighting the good guys one at a time. Stop being the James Bond enemies who line up and fight him one at a time. Just send like 4 generals in at the same time.
You want to incapacitate the PreCure? Kill their parents.
That's how you get Batman PreCure. Don't make Batman. That's a very bad idea.
Absolutely. We didn't write down any quick notes or favorite scenes or quotes. Is there anything else you want to discuss before we move on to Happiness Charge?
No. One quick note, and I assume that there's going to be kind of like a motif throughout the season. Both Saki and Mai made promises to come back to their families like immediately after school for various things, right? Saki and Minori were going to help their mom make hamburger curry, something that the mom usually does on her own. And Mai's parents were going to get off work early and they're all going to go out to dinner. So when they're fighting Karehan and you have the all hope is lost moment, the thing that brings them through that is we made a promise and we're going to keep a promise. And I think that's really cool. And also, I kind of subconsciously stole that for my own PreCure season that I'm kind of writing in my head. I have an Earth-themed cure whose main thing is keeping promises. And I think I must have gotten that from Splasher. Like, maybe I read the summary at one point that said, like, the promises are really important. I was like, stealing that?
No, I love that. I think that's great. Happiness Charge.
Happiness Charge, PreCure.
Happiness Charging! PreCure!
IQ Lovely, Emin Principal.
I love you. I really liked... No, I didn't like this episode, is what I meant to say. Those are opposites. I'm just so used to being positive. The thing that bothered me about this episode was Hime set a clear boundary, and everyone just ignored her.
Yeah.
She was like, I want to do this by myself. And they just kind of steamrolled over the top of her. Mm-hmm. And at the end, there was a nice moment, but like, it didn't really make up for that to me. Like, it was unpleasant for me to watch.
Yeah, I get that. Now, see, I kind of have the opposite reaction. When the episode started, and Megumi's like, let me help you make this cake, and Hime was like, please let me make the cake on my own. Eventually, Megumi gets kicked out of the house, like I said earlier, when Hime's kind of had enough. And I thought for sure at the end of the episode, Hime was going to have to apologize for being rude, and Megumi would be in the right all along, and I would have punched the wall. I would have been upset, because, like, Hime's trying her best, and she's asking for them to let her do something. And it's not something like, let me fight the bad guy on my own, by the way, he's going to kill me if I lose. It's not like something where her life is on the line. It's something that's more low stakes. And so the fact that low stakes, more like low cakes. But at the end of the episode, they both had to apologize. So I liked that better than one of them was clearly in the wrong.
There was a really precious moment in the final fight because they unlocked their together attack this episode. Mm-hmm. But Megumi is saying, Hime, you wanted to do this by yourself because you feel like you're weak and I'm always carrying you, but you make me stronger as well, which is a lie. Like, I haven't seen any evidence of that. But she said it, and she says, we're not alone. We're in this together because the two of us make the PreCure. Futari wa
married, basically.
Exactly. Some character actually at the end when they're cutting the cake says, is this a wedding ceremony?
Yes!
It turns out that this is a celebration of 100 days of their friendship. And Megumi's like, that's a little weird. Stage 3 clinger much? And Hime's like, we're doing this again at 200 days.
And 300. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, it was such a good episode. Now, we were talking about subtext earlier in this episode, in PreCure. We have an episode where two characters rely on each other, and they have their coming together moment when they're fighting a wedding cake, and then they do the hand-holding thing that goes all the way back to Futari wa, and then the episode ends with someone literally commenting on, is this a wedding ceremony? So, like, I understand that what Ayu is saying, that Toei is not explicitly trying to quote-unquote sexualize the girls, because, again, even a kiss on the cheek can be too scandalous. But, like, I don't know if the writers didn't do any of this on purpose.
There's nothing subtle about that.
No.
Yeah, it's barely even subtext. And I love that Hime continues to hate the guy just because he's a combatant for Megumi's affection.
Everyone's so mean to Seiji this episode.
He shows up at the house and Hime's like, what are you doing here? And he goes, you invited me? And then he comes up on Megumi, and I can't remember what she said to him, but he's like, everyone's being so rude to me today.
My poor boy.
Poor Seiji.
I do also want to say that Megumi was told to show up dressed fancy or whatever, and eventually, like, you and I both clued in immediately. You were like, she's just wearing her normal clothes. He was going to be upset, and I went, yes, she is. That makes perfect sense. And then when Hime finally clicks into the fact that, like, oh, you're not dressed fancy, she does get upset. Great Hime faces in this episode, but they used their
cards,
their magic cards to give her an outfit, and it's a good outfit.
She's very cute.
Yes.
Their new attack is called PreCure Twin Miracle Power Shoot.
Yes.
And they say, Megumi says, light of love, turn into sacred power. Hime responds, light of courage, turn into sacred power. And together they say, a happy delivery for you. Happy! And they do the name of the attack.
That's so good. Now, I love... If you had asked me what does Megumi represent, I would have been able to say love because like that's she's mentioned it like explicitly like 3 or 4 times at this point. Courage makes perfect sense for Hime. I don't think I would have been able to write it if you gave me like a test and be like, what do you think Hime's thing is? Courage would not have been my first answer, but it is so perfect for her. And it makes me wonder if the other 2 team members that show up again in the opening, I wonder what their element will be. And if we think Yu Yu's going to be the 3rd member, maybe some kind of like empathy, not exactly love, but like a kindness.
Yeah, I was going to say light of empathy. I could also see light of gentleness.
Ah, yes, absolutely.
Does she remind... So this is obviously a horse girl story, and Hime is the wild stallion who cannot be tamed. She's got the sugar cubes. She's taming this horse with love. Yu is going to ride Hime? This metaphor's falling apart. Any other scenes or quotes you wanted to shout out from Happiness Charge?
I will say we have a call to adventure from AU talking about how this twin attack is obviously, you know, a reference to Futari Wa, and it probably is. I myself am still in my hater phase on Futari Wa, and I personally think that the colorfulness and the way that it's like the pink and the blue overlapping gives me big, sweet PreCure vibes. They had a combo attack where it was like orange and pink for one of them, and then it was like white and blue for the other one, and then they had a combo attack where they mixed the colors, and that's what that's reminded me of, more so than the Futari Wa marble screw.
Colors are so good. You know the hashtag of this series is wow, so bright colors. So
absolutely. You
ready to move on to Soaring Sky?
I'm ready to take to the sky.
It's a bird. It's a plane. Oh, it's lesbians.
Oh, it's a teenage girl who can do like 3 flips in the air and things that people will hate her for it or whatever.
Again, a very relatable episode. We've all been that new kid in class trying to figure out what the norms are and what our place is. And I really like that Sora decides to embrace her cute, right?
Yes.
To steal a Songo phrase. Oh gosh, I see Pete peeking over the chair. Songo's not here, Pete. It's okay.
Hi guys.
But yeah, so I thought that was cute. Love Kabaton in this episode. Poor guy's just minding his own business on the hillside, and he just gets hit with Sora's ball.
He wasn't even doing anything. He wasn't trying to scheme. He wasn't trying to plot. He was just laying in a field enjoying himself, and he gets hit in the back of the head. Well, front of the head because he turns around at the last minute by a soccer ball. Like, that's just unfortunate.
Absolutely.
He had a Jotaro Kujo phase from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I mean, it's just the standard like punk boy kind of outfit, but he briefly becomes a delinquent at the school, eating all of the food.
Yep. Which, you know, again, this isn't Calls to Adventure, but AU said they were very concerned about his age. Just another teenage dude, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like he can be whatever. Like, because we had a couple of episodes ago where he was doing the salaryman drinking at the bar kind of trope. So I think that Kabaton will take on whatever age is appropriate for whatever outfit he's wearing, kind of a thing, if that makes sense.
Oh, he and Hime could be friends.
Yeah, maybe.
I actually unironically think they could be. You could just sit there feeding both of them.
I'm team Kabaton should have a redemption arc, and also I'm kind of bored of Kabaton. I like him, he's all right, but like I'm waiting for like the bigger group of villains to show up and be like, Kabaton, you're the weakest of us.
Absolutely. It's been 7 episodes, like time to move on.
Yeah, turn him into a leaf or whatever.
Preferably the tiny pig.
Yeah.
Mashiro can just carry him around.
Oh my god.
I think that would be super cute.
Also, are you excited to buy the new merch? Did you see the way that Yo-Yo was holding up the mirror pat and was showing you the different children's stories that you could read? Elle was so excited.
It was officially released in Japan this week. People were worried it was going to get mined for spoilers, but I've been avoiding those. I actually had to mute our Discord channel this weekend so that I wouldn't get anything from this episode spoiled.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I don't mind PreCure selling merch. That's what the show is for. It's just like all of the toy commercials of like G.I. Joe and Transformers in America. But at the same time, Toei, I think you're doing fine for money, you know?
They've got the biggest series in the form of One Piece. Like, One Piece carries all of Toei, I'm positive.
They have a lot of different properties, and
Didn't One Piece outsell the Bible last year?
No, it outsold Harry Potter, and the next big thing that it could try to overtake is Superman. I don't think that any work of fiction will outsell a thing that people religiously have to buy for every member of their family.
It would be very funny to me if One Piece outsold the Bible, is all I'm saying.
Have you accepted our Lord God Usopp and Lord Karurun into your heart?
Karurun lives in my heart, along with the Father Tart and the Holy Spirit.
Absolutely.
Oh, heck. What's her name?
Hachan, right?
No, the fox from last season.
Kome.
Yes, thank you. The spirit, Kome. I really have nothing else to say about Soaring Sky. That's a lie. I really liked the fight in this episode. They were running on walls, they were parkouring, they were jumping, they did a Kamen Rider kick, all good things.
The Sakura Tree bad guy was pretty cool. I really liked it, that Ramborg. But yeah, eventually what they did in order to defeat it is they just ran really fast circles in a bunch of different directions until they got tired out. I'm kind of disappointed that the other characters didn't see the girls transform. I really thought from the way that this episode's title was, and I eventually went back and watched the preview images after we recorded the last episode, and I just feel like they were setting up a subversive, the PreCure aren't secret this season. They just tell everyone.
I thought so also, but, it's PreCure, so I'm sure everybody, secretly passed out or something. There's a scene of all the students running because there's a monster outside. It's where are you running to?
Where do
You're
think
already
you run
inside.
From the giant sentient. Well, no. If the Sakura Tree monster were to punch the window of the classroom you're in, it could hit you. But if you went further into the building so that you weren't on the outside, it wouldn't be able to get you. Maybe.
All right, that's fair. I'm just saying somebody was there watching that battle.
Yeah, exactly. And people were like, those two girls who saved us were really cool. How do you not notice that the two girls who weren't running from the monster, and then 2 seconds later the character show? Anyways,
people are idiots.
It's a show for children. But yeah, I really like that. Something else we did not point out last time, the alien abduction updraft attack. When the girls start using it, they call out their colors, which is a callback to the original Futari Wa again, where it was Black Thunder, White Thunder, but their little microphones say blue and white on it. And that's just a little small detail that brings me joy.
I love it. Absolutely. Although Mashiro should say pink, right?
Yeah, she has pink hair.
Yeah, obviously. I just had to validate you.
Yeah, of course.
I really like some of the calls to adventure we got this week.
Absolutely.
AU, in response to Splash Star, AU was like, the toy that was Karehan ran out of batteries.
I will say, here's the thing that I want to say. She's also teasing me about what the next episode's going to be about. Now, we normally skip the next time, even on Splash Star and Happiness Charge, for example. But this week, we let them both play. So I saw the 5 frames from Happiness Charge episode 8, and I saw the 5 frames from Splash Star episode 8. And it looks like the next bad guy might also be Elemental Theme, and it might be my Elemental Theme.
Mm-hmm. You've seen him in a movie, and you were like, that's mine.
Wrong pronouns.
Really?
Yep. We get the big booby lady, and she's fiery. I'm pretty sure.
I really thought the fire person was a dude. This changes everything.
Fire person was a dude from the Star Twinkle movie.
You need a nap. Jeez.
Okay, the one thing that I want to talk about from AU's thoughts that's more than just kind of a passing thought was... apparently she watched this season before she watched Futari Wa, but she thought that Karehan's defeat had a bigger impact than Pissard's. And I would say probably, yeah.
I don't remember having the holy shit, that guy exploded reaction watching Futari Wa.
There's something, it's almost horrific. Children horrific, right? Not like a Saw or a Scream movie or something. But it's actually horrific the way that they thought that they beat the uzaina, and then at the last minute, the monster came back from the dead almost, and almost got them. When they were untransformed, when they were vulnerable, there's some subtext there that makes that scene really impactful for me. Absolutely.
I loved James's thought. Pretty up that Karehan explodes. Yeah, man. Yeah, it is. It
is. James's only other thought was take a shot every time Sora mentioned she's from Skyland.
No, James, your body can't handle that much alcohol.
I'm impressed that our girl managed to not spoil that she was from Sky.
She's so stupid.
I thought when she was doing the class introduction, hello, I'm Sora, I'm 14 years old, or however old I am, I think 14, and I'm from Skyland. I thought for sure that's how this episode was going to start, but she actually managed to keep the secret for 3 whole seconds.
It's amazing. Do we have any other calls to adventure you want to shout out, or do we want to move on to our predictions?
We got a YouTube comment from Snooker. Welcome back, Snooker. I think we've talked about your comments a couple of times now, but they pointed out that they really liked the big battle in New Stage 3 because of the different character interactions. You know, you had things like Ace and Moonlight. He didn't point out these specific interactions, but I assume that those are kind of like the ones that...
Ace and Moonlight was the best one.
Yeah. But, you know, they were saying that there's so many good interactions between all the different characters, and that's what makes the All-Stars movies great. I agree. I think that if you don't know anything about PreCure and you might want to get started and you don't want to watch them necessarily in chronological order, I think you should just watch the All-Stars movies and see if there's a character that speaks to you. I've said it before, I'll say it again. That's how we discovered Erica, because she's great.
Erica.
I will say it does seem like Hime doesn't necessarily maintain her personality. Like, if you watch the next All-Stars movie and you saw Hime in it, I don't think that you and I would be as impressed by her as we are when we watch actual Happiness Charge. But Erica's personality transfers perfectly. That is a cake that transfers one pan to the plate perfectly. No damage or anything.
Amazing metaphor.
Snooker also pointed out that Cure Honey was supposed to be surprising in the All-Stars movie. You were supposed to be like, wait, who is that? I like that, except the other 2 girls recognize her. What should have happened, if they wanted to introduce a Cure in the movie and then have the Cure make her actual debut in the show several weeks later, is she should have showed up and saved the girls. She should have known who they were, but they should have been like, who are you?
Who was that mysterious honey candy
Right,
girl?
and she could say something like, oh, I'm Cure Honey, we'll meet again, and then she teleports off, and then she shows up in the actual series a couple of episodes later.
Absolutely. Reminds me of Pokemon, though, teasing Season 2, Pokemon Johto, before any of that was released.
Yeah, absolutely. Or, like, technically, I think we saw Ho-Oh in, like, the 2nd episode of Pokemon, even though, like, Ho-Oh was next gen and that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Snooker also hopes that we get more serious plot from Soaring Sky. You know, there's some good moments, but, like, I agree that you don't want to just throw people into plot in PreCure. You don't want episode 1 to be like, 50,000 years ago in the land of ice, there were 2 tribes, the frozen people and the fire people, and they battled for... Now, first episode is just like, hi, I'm a girl. But now that we're 7 episodes in, it's like, okay, you can give us a little bit more.
I liked the Kira pattern where we used the first 7 episodes to establish the characters, and then we had 7-episode mini arcs moving forward from there.
Absolutely.
I've got a great prediction for next episode.
Okay, based off of the title?
Great crack theory,
Okay.
yes. So the title is The Flightless Bird and the Strange Boy.
Mm-hmm.
They will meet a boy who loves penguins.
Oh.
And they will say, what appeals to you about penguins? And he will say, penguins do not fly. Therefore, they can't evade their taxes. Because birds are known for trying.
Of course.
That's Tsubasa. And that has been your do-do-do-do-do. Final thought, outro goes here.
Thanks for listening, everyone. And don't forget, be kind to your enemies. They might secretly be a leaf, and then they might secretly explode. Not so secretly explode, actually.
I'll be kind to my enemies as long as they stay the out of my kitchen. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Podcast Time here at Cure of the What Now. Please remember to take a moment to rate and review us wherever you get your podcast from. If you want to chat more, you can find me at Pirate Ghost Host on Twitter.
And you can find me at KOTWN_pod. The link to our Discord is in my bio. You can join us for streams, games, and weekly discussions. Bye.
Stay heroic!